Let's just start with, in the credit says that it's based on the novel by your wife, Laura Santuyo. And actually, I just have to mention, this is your fourth feature film, and actually Rodrigo is almost like a regular here at the Film Society. 3 of his 4 films have been shown, although this is the first time that you're able to come for a Q&A, so I feel really privileged. So can you talk about that collaboration with your wife and the novel and the source of the film, the screenplay?
Yes, well, we've been to try. I mean, we've been living together with 17 years, 2 kids and 4 films, and obviously all those 4 films we done it together. She's a great writer. We don't know exactly where the idea came from. She wrote the script. But before writing the script, she started with the script, she found some problems, and then she went to the novel so she could understand better the characters, because the novel has this particularity that it's wrote in first person, you know, like, so she changes all the time from character, as it happens in the film, but it's narrated by a first person, so you can understand what's happening with them. You can hear their voices, the way they think, and this let you understand better each character. This is something we try to remain, conservar, como, no? To keep in the film. And the main idea, we are not sure. I think the ideas come from everywhere. I mean, I remember we saw once, a long time ago, a picture whose name is The Corporation, La Corporación, a Canadian film. I don't remember the directors. There were 2, I guess. But it's about corporations and how they work, and how are them inside. And at the same time, we just came back from Uruguay. Like, I was born in Uruguay, live all my life in Mexico, the same for my wife, and then for the last picture we went back to Uruguay for 5 years. And when we came back again to Mexico, we didn't have like an insurance. And I think, you know, we had to start thinking what to do with our lives. We have 2 kids, what to go to the public assistance or to buy an insurance. But insurance are very difficult and very expensive. And so we, in a way, try to put it in those shoes of someone who doesn't have that. It happens. So it comes also from our own vulnerability, I think so, no? Of not knowing what to do, if we should buy an insurance, and then it's complicated to get paid. And those insurance doesn't let you go to the medicine as a normal, you know, to consult a doctor or something like that, because this is not covered by this insurance. They will cover you if you have like a big intervention, you know, like a surgery, something like that, so you don't need to put your house in hipoteca. How do you say that, hipoteca?
Mortgage your house.
So, mejor hablamos en español, dice. So something like that. So from all of that, several ideas and feelings, the idea came. So she wrote the novel first and then the script. But obviously, because we are a couple, I always participate. 2 scripts, we wrote it together, then she's much better than I am. So she started to write alone. But always I am like over there, you know, like hearing her proposals and the news and proposing at the same time. And she also keeps in the film all the time. I mean, she, as long as we can, she come, because we have 2 kids and sometimes it's complicated, but when I am making rehearsals, I like a lot to rehearsal with actors, she comes to that part of the process. And this is an enrichment from both of us. No?
I personally find it very intriguing, kind of this duality. On one hand, the film can be just a simple thriller, and of course, a very engaging thriller, a genre film. But at the very same time, it's a very dire social critique. So my question is, was it thought as a thriller originally, and how do you manage to balance both things, treat it as a genre film, but also with this social critique of Mexico.
I This is not a question we ask each other when we are writing or we are like trying to make the picture. We don't think in the way of we're going to make a thriller or this is going to be a drama. We just, I don't love these categories because it's more for, I don't know, it's more for commercial movies maybe. And so we don't think like this. We just try to go close to our characters to understand what their journey was with this sickness in the house and all that, and trying to be close to them. And then it happens that, yes, she gets mad, you know, when she finds like these barriers in the bureaucracy and all that, and she has something like an emotional break, and she starts to make things that no one should do. And but we don't think like a thriller. It happens that there were some guns involved and all that, but not from the beginning, no? I think that, yes.
I just want to make one more question before we open up, but I was also very intrigued by the protagonist, by Jana Raluy. I mean, she does a really wonderful performance. What was the casting process? Because also I think she comes from television rather, no? Or
From theater.
Theater, actually. Okay.
Yes, this is her first film. Yeah, but she has like a long career in theater, like very long. I don't know, 20 years maybe. And we saw it with my wife in a piece of theater, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and we still remembered her, that she was so great. So when we started the process of developing this project, we searched her in the cartelera, how do you say, of theater, in the programs, and I don't know what, we found the last piece of theater, and we went to see it, and we loved her, and we called her, and she made some proposals that we loved, and she kept them with the character, with the main role, you know.
And the kid, probably you recognize him from the film Güeros.
Güeros.
He was the protagonist of the film Güeros, which was played here last year.
Just to say, I liked a lot. For me, the pictures start with the script, of course, that I'm involved with my wife, but also when I start to make the casting, I like to make the casting myself. I have some people who helps me, but I start like 6-7 months ago of shooting, and this way I can see the actors and the actresses, and I can feel the way we can interact, you know, because you have to know if you are like dealing with the same, how do you say, codes, no? So it's something I like very much. The boy came just a little, because we started obviously searching for the mother and the boy. We had already the mother, and it was a proposal from the first AD, and he told me he has never done a picture before, and I make the casting, and it was incredible, and I wanted to hire him very quickly, but I wanted him to be a reunion with the main actress we already had, to see how they felt. So we make like a callback in a square, and I don't know what, and we made improvisations. And he was even, sometimes he showed more experience than her, you know. I remember a scene when she thought that it was finished, the scene, and he take the lead of the scene, and he did things, they were incredible. And I says, great, you were born with talent, boy. And he said, for your first time. And he says, no, this is my 4th picture. Okay, and I was like, come on now, well, don't worry, you are okay. Then, you know, it was good. So he was great, yes, of course.
Great, let's open the floor. Anybody has any questions, any comments? Sure, let's start here.
yet. I mean, I think that it has to be. Sorry, my English is so-so. We just screened the picture like a few times in festivals. It will be like released commercially in June or something like that. So we still have to see what's going to happen with the picture. But about the subject, in a way, I mean, we know that our public social security, it's not universal for everybody, and like governments, politics from government are like giving less money to those funds, and they are disappearing. And I think that the main thing on the picture is that this is happening also in a context without a state that rules, you know? In a way, what we think, at least, is that if there are going to be like private securities, health securities and all that, the state has to rule them, you know? In a way, they have to exist. But in the case of this woman, there's no one in between them. You have a problem with the insurance, and you have to solve it by yourself. And this is what happened in our society right now, because the state, it's like, it's a void. They are not there, you know. They are just stealing, stealing a lot, the politics and all that, and you can't see them. And if you have any problem with anybody, I mean, with your neighbor, you have to solve it by yourself. There's not like police or, you know, like a state in between. And this is very complicated. So the first violent situation is the state itself before she takes the gun, you know. I don't know if I did answer your question in a way. In fact, they are, it's supposed. I mean, the government, we have trials, we have police, we have all that, but it's so mixed up. I don't know how to explain it in English, but it's like, yeah, there's not just, I mean, to give you an example, of all crimes they are committed in all ways, like 5% of the crimes are solved. So that means 95% of the crimes, I don't know where I read that, maybe it's less, I am not sure, because I'm giving like facts like that, but that means that the state is not solving problems. If you commit a crime, mostly you will be free because you can do it, because they don't catch you, it's not enough, the state is not working very well, you know? That's what I mean.
Sure, let's.
No, the way I work, I'm not sure it's the best, but what I think is that the way I work with my colleagues and the way I work with my actors and all the people who participate in the pictures is that I try not to give like precise examples of anything, because I believe a lot on what I believe a lot on this space who is between that one who is speaking and the other one who is imagining. You know, I am not, it's difficult to say it in English, but what I mean is I will not show a picture from someone else to my photographer and says, do this photography, because I will cut the imagination, his imagination or her imagination, you know? I will tell him exactly what I want, and that's something I don't believe too much. I believe words, at least in Spanish, when I can speak, are very powerful, and the other one can reinterpretate. I believe a lot on the reinterpretation of the other one. The space of the creativity is between the one who speaks and the other one who reinterpretates, the one who reads the script and the other one who proposes. So I didn't use nothing. I think that you come from, each person have a different baggage of experiences in life, something like that, right? So you will relate it with something, and we will discuss it, and we'll try to find the way we want to do this picture. It's very difficult because we don't know where we are going to. It's very sinuoso, the way, sinuoso.
Wavy, very.
I don't know. It's not straight, but at the same time, it enriches the picture. I think so.
Let's go back and then we'll come here. Sure.
Yes, because the reason is this multiplicity of visions. First, we have the feeling that telling the story with this different point of view will give more power to the conflict, to the main conflict, because it won't be my opinion and you won't just like the main character. You will have other point of view of someone who didn't like her. And all the picture, what's happening in all the picture is the reconstruction of what happened. It's not what happened really, it's the reconstruction of someone, of different 20 persons or 17 persons who are in front of a trial. The voice you are hearing at the same time, the last trial you saw, it's happening at the same time. So what we try to do is to show, to recreate what happened, but in a subjective way, because I'm English, shit, sorry. In a subjective way, because each one remembers the facts in a different way. That's why we distorted the images. That's why we wanted to play with reflections and all that. I think so, maybe.
There was.
Yes. The courtroom is real. We did the scene, but the fact was that's the only objective moment of the picture. That's why we split the frame in 4 parts, as it happens in cameras. So to understand that all you saw before, it was not reality, it was what people were saying about what happened. Yes, it was a real courtroom, and we used the cameras of the courtroom and all that. Yes, and we cut it just before they give the decision. How do you say, the judgment?
Right.
Because in a way we expected, you have all the facts, you have seen all the facts. She makes mistakes, a lot of mistakes. And in a way, you can understand what she's doing. So it's ethical, it's complex. And you people has to decide what to do with the final decision. That was the idea, in a way.
Now that we're talking about the end, why did you include the narration of the soccer game?
Say it again.
Why did you include the
at the end? Yes. At the end, we put again the soccer play, the sound of the soccer game, because we stopped the game before, and because the one who is speaking says, this referee, I have to translate it. It says something like, it talks about the referee. It talks about a referee who's making a lot of mistakes. It talks about a referee who saca de quicio a cualquiera. ¿Cómo se traduce eso? Thank you very much.
Drives everybody crazy.
This referee drives anybody crazy, and we are talking about justice in Mexico in a way. No, drives anybody crazy because there's no justice. I mean, you are like by yourself, you know. And of course, no one should have a weapon in the house. And this is a subject here.
Right here in front. There was another hand here. Back there.
Rodrigo, you say you don't like genre, and I've seen La Zona, which I really like,
Uh-huh.
and this movie, and you're very good with tension, you're very good with thriller, you know, these movies are very tense, so I want to know how you achieve that.
But when I said I don't like to tag people, I mean, I am fat, I am Jewish, I am several things. But, you know, I don't like to just simplify it that way. That's why I don't like fictions and genres and all that. But of course, I believe that it's very important to, what I believe, to having tension in the pictures, you have to leave like empty spaces for the other to full. My English is so elemental. I went to a bilingual school for French, but not English, sorry. And so, yes, that's what I mean. All the plane, that's why I also like the simplicity of each frame, because in one frame, if we left the camera just steady, it doesn't subraya, no subraya.
Underline.
Eh?
Underline.
It doesn't underline the motion of the other one, you know, go to the close-up and then do like that, and I don't know what. It's a little bit like objective, and in a way you have several things who are out of the frame. And in this way, it te obliga.
Makes you, force you to.
It forces you to imagine what's going on a little bit and to create with the film, you know? You have to, in each frame, in each plane, in el plano, ¿cómo se dice?
Shot.
Eh?
In every shot.
In every shot, in every sequence, in all the picture, you have to put a little question, a little mystery that you are solving partially. And then you leave it open, and then you go a little bit more, and each time you discover a little bit, and this is tension, I think so. But mystery can be inside of you or can be outside, you know? It can be Indiana Jones, and it can be Gritos y Susurros from Bergman, you know? I don't know. Gritos y Susurros, shouts and... thank you. Well.
Let's go here in the middle.
If you have luck, because you can't find the name anywhere. No, it's not true. Internet, it's, if you are a good pirate, I don't know if this is forbidden here.
No. You can go ahead.
But if you are a good
None of them have US
I think
distribution?
the zone, La Zona, it's in internet, no?
Netflix, maybe?
Y La Demora también, no sé.
The delay?
I don't know where, really. I have to order my life a little bit, and I will tell you later.
At least this
But
film
the zone
will be fully distributed.
exactly, it will be distributed in the States.
And it will open in theaters and...
Yes. The others, I don't know what to, really, sorry. I have to order.
Well, I think that's the time we have. Just before, what are you working on now? Can you tell about your future projects?
Well, we have two projects. One's named The Other Tom, and the other one is Guarda y Custodia. How do you say that? Guarda y Custodia.
That's a more poetic.
It's about kids, and it's about... it talks a little bit, because I didn't answer the first... One of the questions he said that my pictures are political. I think all pictures are political. Each one. I mean, even Schwarzenegger, even whatever you see, it has a political point of view. If you react on it, it depends on each person who is sitting here, but all depends the way you think. But each picture has a point of view. I don't know why I took that off. But ¿de qué hablábamos? Guarda y custodia. It's about the absence of the state again, and how a couple, people who is taking apart, you know, like a couple who is finishing their marriage and they have a little girl, and how they solve their own problems without the state, or they buy the states, or you know, like buying lawyers and making things that you ethically wouldn't do in a normal situation. So something like that, but I shouldn't say more. But we are planning other films, yes.
Well, we look to see it, and hopefully it will be shown here, and we'll have you again. Thank you, Rodrigo.
Thank you very much
for coming tonight.
Thank you. I will go to English classes.